out of the scriptures. And it's when the Queen of Sheba visited King Solomon, Melech Solomon. And so, if Adiam, you could read that entire chapter 10, and then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to point out a few things that we can learn from today as we are warming up into our main presentation. So, Adiam, I'm ready to go to shop.
Reading from the book of 1 Kings, chapter 10, beginning with verse 1, the Queen of Sheba. And when the Queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name Yahweh, she came to prove him with hard questions.
Let's stop right there. She heard the name. So what we can take from that particular verse is there was already a reputation before she ever even met Solomon. What are we doing in our works that is causing us to have a particular reputation to where it reached another country and another dominion and a head of state to be able to say, I need to go and travel and take my whole delegation to go see this? Reputation. Keep going.
And she came to Jerusalem with a very great train, with camels that bore spices, and very much gold, and precious stones.
Let's stop there. So although she brought precious stones and gold, wait till you understand the equivalent of how much gold she brought in today's time in a dollar value. Go ahead, okay? Blow your mind. But let's speak reputation. In Proverbs, Melech Solomon said what? Proverbs 22:1. He said, a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold. That's why Queen of Sheba was so willing to bring all of her gold, because the name and the reputation that he had already put into her mind said, hey, I'll give a little bit of this for the knowledge and the wisdom that's in your spirit given to you by Yah. Let's keep going.
And when she came to Solomon, she communed with him with all that was in her heart. And Solomon told her all questions. There was not anything hid from the king, which he told her not. And when the Queen of Sheba had seen all Solomon's wisdom, and the house that he had built, and the meat of his table, and the sitting of his servants.
Let's stop right there. That right there is one of the most interesting aspects to that particular chapter. Queen of Sheba said she saw his wisdom. Oftentimes we think of the word wisdom of being something that has to do with scholarship, intellect. What do you mean you saw the wisdom? And then went on to describe what she saw. Okay, we'll get into that. But it was wisdom has to be observable. Are we talking about culture today or something? It has to be observable. Wisdom has to be observable. It can't just be something that you can pull up scripts, precepts. It has to be observable. What have you built with those scriptures? We got to take this out of the sky and bring it to here on earth. The earth was for us. So wisdom has to be observable.
And the attendants of his ministers, and their apparel, and his cupbearers, and his ascent by which he went up into the house of Yah. There was no more spirit in her.
Let's stop right there. It said it took the breath from her. We try to impress the sister, build something. Take the breath from her. There was no more spirit in her. By what he built, not by what he said. Okay? By what he built. So in that understanding, it said what? Your team, understand this, your team is a reflection of your leadership. The cupbearer, the janitor, the doorkeeper. She was observing them. She wasn't just looking at Solomon. It's one thing, okay, you the man. But how's our wives? How are our children? How's your janitor? How you treating the person that's washing the dishes? That has to also be observable in your wisdom, because it's a reflection of your leadership. Let's keep going.
And she said to the king, it was a true report that I heard in my own land of your acts and of your wisdom. Howbeit, I believed not the words until I came.
Couldn't believe it.
And my eyes had seen it. And behold, half of it wasn't told to me. Your wisdom and prosperity exceeds the fame which I heard.
Better than what she heard. Go ahead.
Happy are your men. Happy are these, your servants,
Those servants are happy.
which stand continually before you, and that hear your wisdom. Blessed be Yahuwah, which delights in you, to set you on the throne of Israel, because Yah loved Israel forever. Therefore he made you king.
Let's stop right there. We don't have to intellectualize this to get somebody to believe in God. You see what just happened. All she had to do was just see what he was able to build. And she said, hallelujah. Y'all must have been with you to build something like this. Because she understood what it took to foresee and to oversee a kingdom and how difficult that process is. So if you were able to build all of this and to get your people and your team to buy in, Yah must be with you. That's all we got to do. Is we focus on the building and everything else will follow. It's just that simple. Let's keep going.
Blessed be Yahuwah, which delights in you, to set you on the throne of Israel. Because Yah loved Israel forever, therefore he made you king, to do judgment and justice. And she gave the king 120 talents of gold, and of spices very great store, and precious stones. There came no more such abundance of spices as these, which the queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. And the navy also of Hiram, that brought gold from Ophir, brought in from Ophir great plenty of almond trees and precious stones. And the king made of the almond trees pillars for the house of Yah, and for the king's house, harps also, and psalteries for singers. There came no such almond trees, nor were seen unto this day. And King Solomon gave unto the queen of Sheba all her desire, whatsoever she asked, beside that which Solomon gave her of his royal bounty. So she turned and went to her own country, she and her servants.
Talk about leave with this. Number one, Solomon also informed us and said that, but the poor man's wisdom is despised. That's Ecclesiastes, the 9th chapter, the 16th verse. Oftentimes we're trying to figure out why someone is not listening to us. We have to build. We have to build something. It doesn't mean that what you're saying is not correct. But people oftentimes see what it is. It's an African proverb that says, beware of a man that's trying to give you a shirt but ain't got one himself. So we got to build something. And in the building process, in the creation process, what we'll end up seeing is it'll be less work that we have to do of convincing and more just persuading. Convincing is trying to get somebody to do something out of their own desires for your own personal reasons. But persuading is simply the process of getting someone to do something out of something they already desire for their own reasons. We don't have to spend time convincing when we can persuade in a way where we build something that just makes sense. Truth is verified but identified. The fifth point is divine creation brings gifts. When you are looking for more gifts to come and more abundance to come in your life, when you build something, people just give it to you. Think about famous people. When they go somewhere, people try to give, they already got the money, but people try to give them something everywhere they go. So that's the formula. We build something, gifts will come. I'm not saying that we're doing it for the gifts, but that is a part of the process. So she came with gifts. That's a consulting fee. What King Solomon was a divine consultant who charged big money till he come and get his wisdom. You know how much he said? 120 talents of gold. This is why we got to make sure we're looking up stuff. Because, okay, 120 talents of gold don't sound that much. I mean, 120, what is it? 120 kilograms? What is that actually worth? But you got to go and do the conversion rate to see what that's worth. In today's time, she brought him $46 million. Now, what kind of consulting fee is that? $46 million. That's how much Queen of Sheba brought to King Solomon. And she left with a baby in her stomach. That's another story. Solomon, wow. We'll talk about that in a minute. Alright? So, with that being said, I want to preface that particular particular message because culture, as what we taught, is observable worship. And the South is about to go in. Our dear brother is about to go in. And so I want to make sure I preface it and make sure you understand a little bit, because we don't have time for all his accolades, but just a little bit of who our brother is that will be standing before you so that we will give our attention, our full attention to, and learn a great lesson. So number one, Asaph is the author of Israel, History, and Destiny, a phenomenal book. I hope you got it with you. He is from New Orleans. He started the New Orleans jurisdiction and eventually went to Florida, still resides in Florida, but he's very much an active member here in the Atlanta extension as well. Okay, he's a member of the scholarship body, okay, of Jerusalem. 21 years he's been in this great kingdom. Man, that's recited 7. 21 years. He's traveled to 7 countries. Okay? And has a doctorate in biblical hermeneutics from the School of the Prophets Institute in Jerusalem. So without further ado, I would love to bring our dear brother up. Please give him a round of applause as he is about